Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Kauai County Council Roundup here at Hoike Studios. We are recapping yesterday's committee meeting of September 3rd, 2025. I'm Council Chair Mel Rapozo with Vice Chair Kipukai Kualii.
Aloha.
And we will go over what we talked about yesterday. I want to thank Hoike Studios and our amazing friend Roger here doing the camera work. And we do this every single week to keep you abreast of what's going on. First item, interesting briefing we had at the request of Councilmember Addison Bulasan, and we had the State Department of Transportation Highways Division come in and give us a briefing and an update on the recently implemented road usage charge program. And it is let me just say, when you go to the gas pump, when you put gas and you pay that amazing amount of money for your gasoline, in there is a state tax, a state fuel tax,
Fuel
and a county
tax.
fuel tax, and that all goes to the highway fund, and that those funds are used to take care of roads and beautification and so forth,
Bridges.
and bridges, yeah. But with the recent increase in electric vehicle purchases here in our state or across the country, electric vehicles don't put gas. They don't use gasoline, so they don't pay for gas and they don't pay for the fuel tax.
But they
So,
use the roads.
but they use the roads, they use the bridges.
Mm.
So the state came up with this program a while ago. It just started, it was just recently implemented a month or so ago. And what it is a fee that they are going to charge the electric vehicle owners at their registration when they register their vehicles to basically pay their fair share of the road usage and maintenance and repairs. So that is it was a very detailed briefing, and I would encourage all of you, especially if you have a electric vehicle, to watch the meeting. And I know Mr. Cooley took a ton of notes.
Well, it's they know pretty much from how things have changed and with more electric vehicles on the road, they can see the drop in the revenue to this line item for the highways and for the bridges. So they're trying to do it fairly, but also to maintain revenue so they can take care of our roads and our bridges. And the fee is fairly nominal. I think it was like $8 per 1,000 miles driven. So, and with a maximum of $50. So kind of like what's implemented, I guess, on July 1st was with the renewal of your motor vehicle registration. If you have a purely electric vehicle, 100%, with your motor vehicle registration was this notice for that additional $50 flat fee. Or it could be the $8 per 1,000 miles. So if you kupuna, your car's mostly sitting in the garage and you're only driving a really little mileage, then you can pay on the mileage too. And what they said too was that during the annual inspection, that's when they would get a record of what your miles is. So
The safety check.
the
So,
safety check,
you
yeah,
know, now,
once
remember
a
in old
year.
days, you just take your car to the gas station, the guy would come out, check your tires, check your horn, your blinkers, and then they'd give you a sticker. And now, they check everything, and everything is on an iPad. I don't know if you noticed,
It's
they
all
come out, they
from
take a picture. So your mileage will be logged in there. The state will pull that data, and that's how they're gonna calculate your fee if you have an electric vehicle. This doesn't impact the hybrids that have gasoline at this time. I think at some point they're gonna look at converting everybody to this pay as you go.
I think they said what by 2033 they hope to have it all done, but they basically phasing it in, right?
Yeah.
And so they start with the 100% electric vehicles. So not even the plug-in hybrids or the other hybrids, because at this, they do pay for gas, not as much, right? So they're at a lower amount because they're, you know, part electric, if you will. But their next phase will include those plug-in hybrids and hybrids. And then ultimately, I mean, I think by 2033, and it's kind of a big lift, they're looking to get all vehicles on the on this RUC road usage charge. But they said it might even take the shape of where they're crediting back the fuel tax part that people pay.
Yeah, we rely a lot on our fuel tax monies for all
Because
those.
the commercial vehicles will continue. This is just for personal use vehicles, right?
Yeah,
So,
light
or
duty.
light duty, yeah.
They
What
call it
was
light
it?
duty.
10,000? There was a
Yeah. So the electric vehicle owners will get to choose between the $8 per 1,000 miles or pay the $50,
flat $50, yeah.
which
10,000 pounds, all lightweight vehicles. So,
yeah.
including trucks and, personal use, big pickup trucks and big SUVs and all of that. In some point in the future, they may actually distinguish between more than, smaller lightweight vehicles and larger ones too. Maybe to capture, larger SUVs and larger trucks. But for now, it's basically the personal use and the commercial.
Yep. So if you have an electric vehicle, pay attention. Again, if you watch today, and I'll tell you how you can watch the full discussion. There are a lot of questions as well. Great discussion, actually.
And they're still working on the legislation that brings this about too. So they'll be back in the state ledge next year. And then we kind of told them to, you probably should just come back to the council at least once a year, maybe, every time you're, implementing something further to expand this program, because they're basically just starting.
Yep. So again, this does not impact anyone with a gasoline-powered vehicle or a hybrid vehicle. This is just for electric
Purely
vehicles only.
electrical.
All right, and then the timing couldn't have been better. We had a briefing from our emergency management administrator, Elton O'Sheel, to talk about basically give us a recap on the emergency response after or during the tsunami warning that we recently had. And he did a great job with talking about what worked well and what needed some improvement. Again, the timing, because we do have a hurricane brewing outside, 1,500 or so miles away from Hawaii. It's a Category 4 right now. They do expect it to weaken somewhat, but we always got to be prepared. So I will use this time to please, please, please be prepared before it becomes a true problem here on Kauai or in
When
Hawaii.
the disaster is, the tsunami caused by an earthquake, if you will, is an earthquake that happened far away, obviously we have more time. This last earthquake was in Kamchatka, right? And so we had from that initial warning at 1:33 p.m. to then when the tsunami advisory was canceled the next morning at 8:59 p.m. But by 11 the night before, it had been downgraded, right? But for those several hours, right, we were all like anticipating, I think in the last few hours, watching the TV and everything. But we had time, right? But that was the whole thing about being prepared in advance and preparing, having a plan, with your loved ones if you're all not at home, and how you're all going to get together, communication, all of that. And then having that 14-day kit, right? Mel said you have to make sure you had
Make sure you
enough
have that.
spam.
Costco gets so much spam and Vienna sausage right now. They don't have toilet
Cases
paper.
and
Yeah, they're running
cases.
short on toilet paper. But I always say, you get ready or be ready so you don't have to get ready. That's what we use in sports. When we, if you be ready, then you don't have to get ready. You're already ready. So I think that's true for disaster preparedness as well. We did note some of the issues I think that were brought up yesterday was a bunch of our sirens don't work. I think communication in general can be improved. So I appreciate Elton coming in and being open about the challenges and some of the shortcomings.
Yep.
And the nice thing is, they do have a plan on improving all of this. And
There was some discussion too on the evacuation part about traffic control points and stuff, and I think it came up about roadblocks. I mean, so there is the thing, right? This happened, this last warning came in the middle of a work day, so a lot of employers sent their people home early. So the roads were kind of packed, but we had time, right? We had several hours to get back home before it all happened. But I think what's important is that when the warnings are all in place and you know that there's road closures coming, to not wait to the last minute, because there probably were people then kind of trying to get to where they needed to get, but then coming up against roadblocks. But I think, Chair, you brought up too that maybe some of those roadblocks were also put in place too soon. You talked about LA, I think.
Yeah, and not necessarily too soon. I think you set up the roadblock, but for those residents that are heading home to
Mm-hmm.
safer ground that are not going to be impacted because the wave is 3 hours away or 2 hours
And
away.
they got another 10, 15 minutes before they
Yeah,
can get home, but they got to get down from LA through Hanapipi and back up to Hanapipi Heights or wherever they
well,
live,
that's the
right?
example I use because I had received a couple of calls from residents that were stopped at Elieli Shopping Center and they wanted to get home up to the Heights. Hanapipi Heights is a very safe place to be in a tsunami, but they weren't allowed to go through. They were, required to stay at Elieli Shopping Center parking lot. And what that did was that just created much more of a logjam at the time that all clear signal is given because now all of those cars that are at Elieli gotta go home. So I just asked, to have some discretion and if the wave is 15 minutes away or half an hour away,
Yes.
absolutely shut everything down. Nobody moves. But if it's hours away and you have a family that wants to get home to their house, let them go. That was just.
Elton did talk about too that, yeah, they need to do a better job with that, and then in considering future roadblocks, thinking about access and egress, abilities for people to turn around, right, if they want to go back to a different location, and then also having parking in that place. So obviously that's why probably they did it at the LA Shopping Center, but
And ultimately, we got to provide more emergency access routes. And, we have an amazing network of cane roads that are not used that could be, improved, not to code, but, for the use of emergency access. I think it's wise that we start looking at using some of those roads to get cars off of the highway out of danger. So.
Councilmember Bulasan had asked a question about training. So, an advanced education to the community, to our constituents, to the public. And they did, and Elton did share about trainings that they do with fire and with the fire department and the Red Cross, and how they do go out to different fairs and festivals and community events to do that outreach and education. And then along those lines, I asked about CERT, the Community Emergency Response Teams that I kind of thought we had all over the island. But Elton had said that they, over the years, have trained hundreds of individuals, but that it's really difficult to actually get those folks to stay engaged, to organize others, and to actually have functioning certs or people that are available to become a cert when needed. So that, and he said it was kind of sad to me that there's actually only one real active cert on the entire island, and that is in Princeville, and that even them are struggling to be self-sustaining and are always looking for additional support. He did say something about the Big Island having something called Vibrant Hawaii, and that they're having some success with their volunteers and their version of what a CERT is, so that they're looking to try and maybe learn from them. And then, if anything, the only other thing is we had some interesting testimony from the public. One person from the North Shore, and she talked about how they have a Hanalei to Hyanna Disaster Resilience Plan, the Hanalei Watershed Hui, and how they have that in place. They worked on it for years with community, and it's a place-based plan that is really effective because the people there on the ground is the one that put the plan together. And then I asked her to share that too, so that we could share that with our different communities and maybe they can replicate that. But one of the things she said too was that she knew that in the EOC, the Emergency Operations Center, which Chair actually got to go to this time, that DLNR was not present there, the state DLNR, and she thought that they should be there. And that she said that in Hanalei at least, the only problem she saw was that two boats were left out in the water by the state DLNR. Oh, and another thing she questioned was that at Black Pot Beach with the new installation of that different bathroom, which is kind of built for tsunamis and whatever, that it was semi temporary. Not, it's built in a way that you can lift it and
Yeah,
take it
yeah.
away, right? But she said they weren't moved. So somebody made the decision not to move them, even though they were supposed to if the wave was imminent. So I mean, luckily there wasn't any damage there or anything. But so she wants them to look into that too in the future, because that's what the FEMA grant paid for, right?
Yeah, again, very interesting discussion, a lot of interesting information. So again, if you have the opportunity, again, I'll share how you can watch that meeting later. The last two items were two bills, and it was final reading. I mean, I'm sorry, uh, committee
Committee.
meeting bills. This was regarding the funding for the memorial that is going to be planned for Hanapepe to commemorate and honor the Hanapepe massacre, that event that occurred 100 years ago now. And the original request was for $215,000, or that was the amount that was in the bill. The community wanted to ask the council to increase that because the original request out of the Open Space Commission was at 315,000. And while you might think that's a lot of money, it is, but this involves the entire planning and the contracting and the design and the actual construction. We want this memorial to be something that is deserving of that community because of the significance of that event.
Significant, impactful. It's going to be there forever. The hope, right?
Yeah.
So
So we did the amendment. Amendment passed. So we did move it up to
back
$315,000.
back to the original amount.
And again, this is open space money. This is money that is allocated specifically for these types of purposes. And I'm so excited that this is moving, and I'm hoping that this memorial will be done, relatively quickly. But again, it's a community project. It's community driven. It's not council driven, not the administration driven. This is the community is going to decide what they want, and that's what's going to be erected, and that will be there for generations to come. So I'm excited. I'm excited that we're moving.
Right there in Hanapepe, close to Wong's restaurant across, there's a little park area. So that'll be a county park in the future, next to Kauai Cookies and that parking lot there.
Which is actually where the
Restaurant.
event occurred. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
when we listen to the testimony over the last few months and the stories that are being told by the family, the surviving family members, it's quite impacting, and it is something that I think deserves our resources to really
A significant part of our history,
make
right?
massive.
So
And so I'm excited. I get lost of words when I talk about that because
yeah.
so many families are impacted directly. We heard emotional testimony by several members, and yeah, so I'm excited. I'm so proud that I'm on this council that was able to approve it. That little part we had in this
Yeah.
project. So
I know the sense in the discussion by all council members, that everyone felt that too. They were very
yeah,
proud to be part of it.
yeah, I kind of I talked about all the different war memorials around the country: Vietnam, World War II, 9/11 memorial. When you go to a 9/11 memorial or any of these memorials across the country, or even here in Hawaii, it touches you, and that's what I hope to see with this project, that it'll touch every single one of the people that come by to see it. So
People can learn about our history.
yes. So again, as I mentioned earlier, you can watch the amazing information full meeting that happened yesterday, but you can watch it on Ho'ike's YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube, search up Ho'ike, and you can watch these meetings. You can watch the archive meetings, or if you tune in on Wednesday mornings at 8:30, you get to watch it live. And again, it is on Ho'ike's YouTube channel. The quality is great. And you can also watch it on our county website, www.kauai.gov. Hit the webcast meeting button. I like the quality on the YouTube better. That's just my personal preference. So yeah, get over to YouTube, hit the Ho'ike channel. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and the bell icon right next to it so you can be notified whenever Ho'ike uploads a new video. Again, I want to thank Roger here at Ho'ike and for allowing us to use the studio every week to bring you the Roundup so you can kind of keep track of what's happening in our county.
Mahalo, Roger.
Anything else?
Nope.
All right.
Mahalo.
Until next time, ahui ho. Take care, guys. God bless.
Aloha.
Aloha.